Recently there's been a hell of a heatwave in the UK, with the first ever extreme heat warning issued. In a nation not used to anything extreme, this gave us even more of a reason to talk about the weather. Enter the Aircon. This is a portable air conditioner intended to cool down the room in which it resides without any permanent installation like the wall-mounted units you see. This particular one is the ElectriQ EcoSilent 12,000 BTU, costing just under 500 quid from aircondirect.co.uk. A link to this is of course in the video description below. But let's get straight to the point. I'm happy with it. It made an immediate impact against the heat and I've got very little buyer's remorse. But before you buy one, you have to be aware of the limitations of portable air conditioners. So long as you understand them, you should be pleased with the results too. So let's dive in and I'll explain everything. For those unfamiliar with this channel's main focus, I enjoy simulation motorsport, or sim racing as it's better known. But when I'm taking part in that and concentrating as hard as possible, I get hot. When I get too hot, I lose focus, and when I lose focus, I make mistakes. And when I make mistakes, I just burn up even more, and the vicious cycle repeats until I've completely thrown it away and I finished a round feeling hot and bothered. I've tried a big blokey fan, but the gale forces are just as off-putting. All I've really wanted is for the pocket of air all around me to be cold and fresh. Same applies during the working day. Like many of you, I find myself working from home most of the time now, and when the heat rises, the will to work drops. So the moment then came when I finally decided to order an aircon unit, and I chose the ElectriQ EcoSilent seen here. With it comes the exhaust pipe, a remote, an exhaust pipe reducer, and a window bracket designed to fit slidey windows, of which there are very few of those in the UK, making this mostly useless to us. But it's not a problem though, as I'll explain later. Having seen an almost even split of people that were happy with their portable aircon units and people that were dismayed at the noise in the exhaust pipe, switching this on was a nice moment of truth, and in honesty it's quieter than I was expecting. Using the device itself is not really much more complicated than a desk fan. You just press it on and off, use the settings buttons for what you want to change. Mostly that's just going to be temperature, but there's also fan speed, timers, whatever. The only tricky bit I found was attaching the exhaust pipe to the collar when initially setting it up, but other than that, it was totally fine. In terms of the actual end result, it absolutely does the job it claims to do. It pumps out freezing cold air in high volume. Initially, to give it a test, I placed it in the lounge as seen here, and it's quite a big room, nearly 30 square meters, which is what this 12,000 BTU unit is rated to cope with. The BTU rating is to air conditioners what horsepower is to cars. The higher the number, the more powerful the cooling. Sure enough, it took about 5 minutes for the temperature in the whole lounge to calm down a bit and feel much cooler. When you turn it up to full speed, standing in front of it is like sticking your head out of a car window on a winter's day. Test completed, I moved it into my combined office and racing room. A much smaller space as well, which would make it easier for the aircon to drop and control the temperature. It was a big relief to face one of the hottest weeks I've ever felt in the UK with this beside the desk. When it's operating, the noise is like a large fan, but at least it's a fairly uniform white noise that isn't very distracting, at least for me. I turned the aircon off for phone calls out of courtesy for the other caller in case my headset picked up the background noise, but it probably would have been fine. When it was turned off for those calls though, the effect of not having it running for 10 minutes was pretty apparent. The ambient heat and humidity would creep back into the room minute by minute, and I'd flick it back on the moment the call ended to wipe that heat away. But finally the time came to test it for what I really wanted it for. The moment of truth. Would the aircon help keep my brain cells in step with each other whilst I'm doing my racing? With simulation motorsport being a very sweaty sport in the summer months, having an ice cold room would hopefully keep me in the zone and concentrating fully. Well, it's absolutely doing that. Whilst running the aircon, there's much less stodge, less fatigue and uncomfortable stickiness that you get when you're racing in the heat. This was priority number one for me. If it didn't make a difference, there wasn't any point having the unit at all. I'm glad to report it seems to really help keep me in my own human optimum operating window. Before, it would be unbearably humid after just half an hour, especially with the computer kicking heat into the room too. Now I can just keep lapping for as long as I want, and the room stays the same temperature as it did when I started. Sim racers know how the heat just climbs as the races go on, so this is a big advantage. So I personally am a pretty happy customer. I'm glad I bought this unit at the start of the heatwave and didn't dither any longer. The day job is more tolerable at home, and my sim racing doesn't require a shower afterwards anymore. Well done, Aircon. There are features of this particular unit that I haven't tried, like the Wi-Fi app. Theoretically, you can control this unit from anywhere using the Wi-Fi function, but the setup guide for it is really only for the dedicated, as it's about 25 steps. For myself and most of you, the supplied remote control is as far as it'll ever need to go. So earlier I mentioned limitations, and this is really important. There are two big ones that are most likely to scupper the unprepared. Air conditioners require high airflow and a way to eject heated air outside. Because of this, portable air conditioners like this one do make noise, and you need to hang an exhaust pipe out of a window for it to work. These limitations are no small matter. Most disappointed reviews that you see on units like this one come from people who may have been uninformed or just underestimated it. I went in very aware of these requirements and was prepared to face a snag or two, but quite frankly it didn't matter. I just needed cold air at any cost, but I found these limitations easier to live with than expected. Limitation 1. The exhaust pipe. You'll need to place your air conditioner near a window or other ventilation spot in order for it to eject the spent air. The pipe provided with most aircon units can be shaped and bent around corners in order to get the exit to the outside, but it's still going to be a little bit cumbersome and ungainly, and they're not always very long. I have mine like this, pipe stuck out the window, curtain tucked around it to stop the cold air escaping from the room too easily. This works just fine for me, but you can get window sash kits to do the job a bit better. I've not bothered with mine though. A big pipe poking out your bedroom window might look odd to some, but the portable air conditioner is like the handyman of the aircon world. So long as you're not precious about the way things are done, it'll do the job for you. Limitation 2. Noise levels. This model is the ElectriQ EcoSilent, and I took that name seriously. It influenced my decision to choose it. Make no mistake, I was not expecting silence. Saying a portable air conditioner is silent is like saying a vacuum cleaner is silent. You can get ones that do the job much quieter than others, sure, but there's no such thing as a silent one. Having said all that, I find this unit to be legitimately quieter than I was fearing and perfectly livable. On those belting hot days, it has been sat no more than a couple of feet away from my office chair, racing rig, and even beside the bed at night time. And in every scenario, the chilling air has been well worth any decibels generated. It's not as loud as I feared it would be, but do not expect anything near silence either. These are the two main compromises you have to make if you choose a portable air conditioner, something which can move from room to room pretty easily with no commitments, which you can't do with a fixed installation. For sports usage like what I bought mine for, these compromises are not a problem. You're not going to be affected by noise, or you'll have audio equipment on the go anyway. The whooshing and buzzing of the aircon won't even be a factor, and the exhaust pipe is no big deal if you have a window in the room it's going into. However, if you're trying to cool down a quiet relaxation room where you tend to listen to gentle spa music, you will not want one of these, as it will totally dominate the ambience of the room. Portable air conditioners are not for everyone. My wife and I are pretty easygoing, but I can imagine a certain type of folk would not tolerate a portable air conditioner. If a noise and exhaust pipe will be a problem, then your only real option left is to have a fixed aircon installation, something that would cost £1,000 or more to accomplish properly, and it's not something you can legally do yourself either. You'd need an aircon technician to do it for you. It will, however, do the job more efficiently than a portable unit, with no noise and without any exhaust pipe. So if you find your portable unit stays in the same room all the time and you use it a lot, a fixed installation from a local aircon fitter is well worth a look. Plus you can cover multiple rooms with such a system. One day I might do this myself, but for now my portable unit meets my needs very well and I'm glad to have it. And that's the end of this overview. Check the link in the description if you want to buy the same one as mine. I do receive commission from some of the links in my videos if you then go through to buy them. But I don't depend on that commission to live, so rest assured my words are not filtered. If I say it, I stand by it. In addition, neither ElectriQ or Aircon Direct have asked me to make this video. I'm just a dude that bought some aircon and spent a few evenings making a video for you. Cheers, and see you again.